Hey everyone, I want to give you a sneak peek of a new demo data generator that I've been building that's going to allow everyone to contribute different data and really solve some of the project import challenges. And I want to show you a pre-release alpha just to kind of give you a taste of what's coming. So on our demo systems portal, there's a new tab that's appeared at the top navigation called Demo Data Designer. And the designer has three elements to it. You have your environments, which is where you're going to say what the URL of your GitLab instance is, as well as the API key to access it. The playbooks is where we're going to have all of our templates at. And the runs are going to be where you're actually going to run your playbook against the environment and kind of see the import process, if you will, right? So let's have a look at our environments real quick, just so you can see this. So on our environment, I've already pre-configured mine, but I'll show you what it looks like. It's essentially give it a nickname, whatever you want to call it. What's the URL? This could be an omnibus instance. This could be gitlab.com. This could be the GitLab Demo Cloud, whatever you'd like it to be. And then the access token, and there's instructions for creating the personal access token. Nothing special about this. One thing to keep in mind is what we're going to give access to is any project or group that you have owner privileges to. So it will not be able to see everything that's going on. It's only the stuff you have ownership of. Once you've added it in, what you're going to end up seeing is all of the groups that you have owners access to and the project. So here's an example where it's doing a live API pull, bringing that data down so we can see what can you choose. The reason this is important is because we're going to want to run our playbooks against either creating a new project in one of these groups or against one of the existing projects. So that's what we're going to be working off of, right? So from the top here, let's have a look at the playbooks. Let's create one together. So what the playbook is, let's just call this issue management and sample description. The playbook is going to give you essentially, it's like building a project template for export, but it gives a lot more dynamic flexibility in terms of what gets attached, how it's managed, and everything else. And what we want to have a look at is on the left-hand sidebar here, see the project configuration. These are all the things you want to configure first. After those pieces are in, have a look under project activity and configure issues. And then what you can do is add milestones and labels to the issue board, and it'll automatically capture and bring in what those issues are. So for our minimum viable change and seeing what's possible, the sample here is we're going to create issue boards, right? So if I go down to labels, I've already given everything a name here, there's no labels listed here. We're going to add the ability to generate labels, so it'll generate anything from give me 10 sample keywords to give me the normal Kanban feature set, right? Going from backlog into to-do all the way to finished. So let's create a label here. We're going to add those in just manually for ourselves. If you want to change the color, feel free here. I'm not going to bother with it for right now. And on the label description, this is exactly what you see in the API. So you notice up here there are documentation links, and if you can open up in a new tab, you can learn more about what those fields are, what you're looking to do, and then the API, what we're actually importing when we're creating a new label. So if you're looking for the parameters, they're here. We haven't brought them fully into our documentation yet, but those do exist, right? So we'll go ahead and just save label. So now we have a backlog label. We'll create two more here. One's going to be to do. Fantastic. Maybe three more. We'll do one for doing, and let's create one for done. Now that we have these in here, we have these four labels. We can give them different colors if you choose. I'm not going to worry about that for the moment. We can also go in and add milestones. This is where the real bread and butter is going to come in. Instead of doing project import and export, this allows us to do dynamic relative dates. And the idea here is that we're going to use January 1st, 2020 as our whatever today is. And what will end up happening is when you add your milestones in here, you can add milestones that are in the past, you can add milestones that are in the future. And what we want to do is make it so that you can, at any given time, you're not going to end up with stagnant data when you bring this stuff in. So if you import a project that you built 4 months ago, all the timestamps are from 4 months ago. And we can do certain database crawls and things to try to import that, but there's a lot of legwork that goes into it, and I don't think it's worth the effort for the benefit we actually get. So instead, we're going to use the API to add things in dynamically when it starts. So what you're doing in your playbook is setting it up for if today is January 1st, did my milestone start in the past or does it start in the future? And you can see some examples in here. I'm just going to paste these in so you can see how this works. So if I go to past milestone, we're going to start this on 2019, 10/12, and due date's going to be 2019. Actually, we'll just do this. This will work. All right, so we'll go ahead and add that in there. And you'll see that it dynamically tells you when this happens, right? And so based on when you import it in, everything will be dynamic based on those numbers. So you don't have to worry about thinking too hard about it. Just try to think, let's go back a month from January 1st. Let's go 3 months ahead. I'm mid-quarter. Think about it from that perspective, and you can use these samples to kind of help you get started. So that's what we're trying to do, is give you the ability to do a lot of dynamic data generation. You can also edit this, change that due date, and if we change this to 01, now you're going to see, hey, there is the 1 month after. So that's how it kind of maps itself out, right? All right, all that in mind, we've done our labels, we've created a milestone. We can create more milestones, but I just want to give you the quick and dirty here to kind of show you what's going on. We also go in and create the issues. And the issues are right now, they're relatively bare bones. It's more about the metadata fields than it is about formatting right now. So there's no markdown formatting in the description box and some of the fancier things that we can do. However, they are all functional. So if we want to, we can say, here's problem number 1, need markdown. This should have markdown. On the created date, go ahead and put whatever date is relative to January 1st. So if I created this issue 2 weeks ago, let's assume that that's going to be 2019 12/15, or let's do 12/10. And if you know the secret of that date, it's actually the day back in 2011 that the first commit of GitLabs began. So that's the magic of 12/10. And due date, relative date again, let's go in the future. So we'll go 02/15. That's going to be 6 weeks from today relative to when we import it. If we want to add any weight in there, we'll give it a weight of 3. And we're going to add in the user and assignment. This is a pre-alpha, so I don't have that feature in there at the moment. And then you can choose that milestone that you created. And so we'll support project and group milestones. Right now we only have project milestones in. Go ahead and save that issue. Okay, that issue is now there. Now when I go to issue boards, I can create a new issue board here. And I'm going to say my tasks, whatever else you want to call it. Again, this is very primitive as we're just getting started moving this. But now this little icon here is looking at the columns of this board. So right now, here's the title of, here's my task. I don't have any list for this board. Create a list. Just like when you're in GitLab, you can see what those different options are for creating lists. And the issue boards are usually choosing it based on a label, a milestone, or who it's assigned to. We're doing the same thing here. So we're going to say that we're going to create the 4 elements here, and then we'll also create another one with the milestone, just so you can see the difference of how this works. And then project label, add these in here. And you'll notice that I have the to do and done and the doing are all out of order. We're going to fix that in a second here. So all of these that are here, we've added these little left and right arrow buttons. They're pretty simple. They're not fancy. There's no drag and drop here. But I can click this to move it left and right and make sure it gets in the order that needs to be done. If I add something in that I don't like, let's add in this milestone. Be sure to choose which one it's supposed to be. It will throw the type error if it's not there. I have this milestone in. I don't want that column. Just delete it off the board. When you go to import and run this playbook, what will end up happening is it'll create all these issue boards. If you make a change here on the demo portal, only future runs will be affected. It's not going to go back and look at previous runs that you've done, right? So keep that in mind. All that being said, we've now got our playbook. We've added some data to it. What I want to show you, I haven't completely finished this, so I want to show you what happens as a starting point and give you an idea here. So I'm going to close out a couple things. Right now, we don't have the new project on. That'll probably be on in the next couple days. But again, I want to give you a sneak peek. So I'm going to go to my group on the demo cloud, and I'm going to create a new project, and I'm going to call this Video Project 1. Fantastic, create project. Now, if I go and look at the environments that I have in here, if I go to my environments, demo cloud, I should see this project in here, and there it is, right? So what we're going to end up doing is running our playbook against that project. It's an empty project. You generally want to do this because I don't have all the error checks in right now to see if a label already exists. If an issue already exists with that name, it's going to throw a 500 error. It's not going to be gracefully handled at the moment. So just keep that in mind, right? Great. Let's look at that playbook again. Here's that issue management playbook that we just built. Go to playbook runs, and we'll run this playbook. So issue management, what environment do I want to run on? I'm going to run on the demo cloud. Click on next step. Now what we can do here is you can see, do I want to create a new project in my group? This isn't enabled yet. It will be soon. Or do I want to run an existing project? So here's that existing project I just created. And when I hit run, this is going to spit out, right now it's going to give you a kill out or a die with the array. So I'm just going to spit out the array that's outputted to give you an idea of what's going in, and then show you what it looks like. We're going to add a lot more of the job status, see which issues failed. We're adding those pieces in, but as a starting point, it's going to be ugly for just this little video here. So when I hit run, it just did API calls out, and it added the labels that I was looking for, right? So these are the 4 labels that I created. That's all good and dandy. And if I go over to my project, if I go to issues, labels, I will now see those 4 labels have been created on this project. So that's what the import process is really looking like. I'm adding in the rest of that functionality you see. There's a couple more things to finesse and smooth over for our 1.0 or 0.1, getting things out the door with a minimum viable. But I wanted you to see the value, and as you create things on the portal, you can then easily see what ran, what does it look like, what are the options that I have, and as we add the rest of the API functionality in, we're going to see a lot more benefits here. So on the My Playbooks, go and view Playbook. What are the other API options that we have? I'm shortcutting myself to the API from here, and you look at all the different resources that we have in the API, or if you go up to the top, sometimes it's a little bit easier to navigate from here, is go to the resources, and you'll see on a project level, these are all the things that we can add. We're not going to add all of them in, but we're going to add a lot of things that give the value and showcase the nice demo. And we're also going to eventually, later down the road, use some of these for more of our automation of things that typically have been hard to do, and allow you to run playbooks midstream of adding some additional services that your product doesn't already have in a templated way. So those are just some of the things that we're working on. I just wanted to give you a sneak peek of it. We'll be adding group resources at a later point, not too far out, weeks or just a couple weeks out, I'm suspecting right now. And that'll allow us to create a group with multiple projects underneath of it. So all the functionalities there, we're just trying to figure out what we can do. So as we look at demo data, this is the art of the possibles, proof of concept. So wanted to let you poke around, see what you think, see what you like, let us know, and go from there. So yeah, there you go. There you have it. That's our new Demo Data Designer 0.001 alpha pre-release, whatever we're going to call it. Haven't decided yet, but wanted to give you a sneak peek as a nice everyone can contribute on Virtual Contribute Day. Thanks for watching.